Hey guys, this is AJ. So I'm so excited to finally be sitting down here with someone we've been trying to get on the podcast for quite a while, and I don't even know where to begin because there's so many titles, but I guess we'll start at the top. President of your union and mine, SAG-AFTRA.
Oh, and he said it right. That's so awesome.
Both?
SAG-AFTRA.
I know,
yeah.
I know. Hey, Ben's slapped me on the wrist a couple of times. I'll be like, so something SAG, and he's like, SAG-AFTRA.
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 Right.
Yeah, we gotta get used to it after the merger.
It took 5 years. All the years.
All the years
now
it
it's
took
5 years we've been SAG-AFTRA. Time to
let's switch it up. Let's say
make
it
sure
right.
we all know.
All right, cool. President of SAG-AFTRA, Gabrielle Carteris, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm really excited. It's been I have to say thank you for your patience because I know you have been trying to reach out and it's been crazy busy. But,
I can't even imagine because I was thinking on the way over here, like all the shoes you are currently wearing, all the hats you're currently wearing. You not only are you president of the union, but you're still actively acting, right? You go on auditions and you're doing a lot of voiceover stuff still. So one of my questions is how are you managing to kind of do all of that in the first place?
You know what? I have to say it's been really crazy busy. It really has been. First of all, I have a lot of support, but part of what I do is I compartmentalize. I think that helps me a lot. To be honest, the work of I never had expected Ken to die.
Of course.
And so when his passing away, it was that for those first couple of months, I was kind of in ultra shock, just trying to get through, and I wasn't auditioning.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, I wanted to, but I couldn't. It's a lot to take on the presidency. And then, but now what I've been doing, I actually, I wake up, early in the morning, and I do an hour for myself before I do any time for anybody else, whether it's the union. I have a husband, I have my kids, and so I wake up really early and I do that, and then I really compartmentalize, and I have a great family. I don't think anybody can do this if you have a lot of strife in your life. It's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So you have to have a lot of support around you, and then I said to everybody in the union, the idea when you're doing union service, they say it's family, work, and union. I don't think that's always true. I think we're always like juggling the different things. But
in terms of priority?
Yeah, prioritizing.
Oh, gotcha.
But I'm doing the best I can. So I plan to work. I'm going to be, the members love when I work because I'm a member, and that means, there's a relationship. We see that we're all doing the same thing. Like I just did I do a lot of voice work, so I was on the voice of Vicky Vance from Batman. And then I'm doing the Battle of the Stars or something. There's going to be, so I do that and I act. So, I'm trying to make my insurance like everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? Because when I'm not, I don't have as much time to go out. So I'm trying, this year I'm hoping to do another series, or to at least get an arc and a couple of, roles going on. And, but it's hard. We're coming up into negotiations right now.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. We've been preparing since I came into the presidency, really like head on into being really prepared for this negotiation because it's going to be unlike any other. So, it's a lot going on.
What do you said unlike any other. What do you feel like is different about this one?
Well, look, every negotiation, I've been to several negotiations, so they always feel that way in some ways, but our technology is changing so rapidly, right? So the whole paradigm that our contracts were built under, the whole structure that our contracts were built under, it's a new paradigm now. And so we have to kind of deal with a lot of things that are, our members are talking. We've been talking about what are the needs, and as I've traveled around the country to membership meetings, and I've been to, one-on-ones and meeting people on sets and talking about the issues that are going on. We put together our package, so I can't talk about it now because now it's all done and we have our negotiating committee ready. But it's really dealing with a lot of, the changes we're seeing in the industry.
We talk about that a lot on the podcast, new media and web series and Netflix and Hulu and streaming and, how everything is changing. But I didn't even think about the fact that you have all these bylaws and contracts and negotiations and things that have been in place. There's sort of, legacy issues that are buried in the deep,
right.
History of these unions that are all, someday we're going to look at that and go, ha,
That's like a dinosaur,
wasn't
right?
that funny? Remember when
Right.
commercials were a thing? Kind of,
Well, when you look at TV, right, when we think about the contract that we work under, it was a contract that was created over, what was it, the 1950s, 1930s.
Oh my gosh.
1930s. So that means when there were 3 networks, ABC,
Right.
NBC, CBS, nothing else.
Right.
And then it was in the early, 1990s or in the 1980s when Fox came around. That was the 4th network. They didn't even call themselves a network. We didn't have any. Now look at it. It's like we have over how many stations and hundreds and hundreds.
Stations, and then you have the
internet, and you have. I mean.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, I think that it's tough. The broadcast stations, ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, they're trying to be innovative because they will be looked at as the dinosaurs. They're not my kids don't even watch TV. I don't know, So I have an 18-year-old and a 23-year-old. Their relationship to media is absolutely through their computer online.
Yeah.
Their phone. I mean, it's technology, right?
Yeah.
It's just. It's interesting.
Yeah. So it's going to make these upcoming negotiations.
They're always challenging.
Different. Yeah. So you've been involved with the union, or at least the political side of the union, for a long time, being in various positions. You were executive vice president before Ken passed away. Is that right?
I was. I helped to merge the unions. Ken.
Right.
Yeah.
You're big on the forefront of that. I'm curious, because there's a lot of actors that, even if they are a member, are not really involved in the political side of it. They just, they
I'd rather
work,
call it the governance side.
The governance, thank you, governance side. I was trying to think of a better word, but it was the only one that kept coming to mind.
Because not everybody's political, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. No, thank you for that.
Yeah.
The governance side of things. What inspired you to do that, to start getting involved with the actual union as an actor?
When I actually, for all the years that I worked, I didn't know there was a governance side. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's how a lot of actors, sort of walk through life or walk through their career.
Well, you don't know. You want to get a job. You do the best you can. You audition, and then you hope you get a contract. You hope it's union, right? Because you want to have the protections, and you want the residuals, and you want help them pay, whatever it is. I literally, I thought it came from a building, an office, or I had no idea members were involved at all with the contracts, and I worked for years like that. I didn't know that members were on a board and that we had a constitution. I was like, I would never in a million years. And nobody from the union ever came to me to talk to me because I'm a pretty out there person. So if you'd invited me to be a part, I always said, nobody ever came along to invite me. And I'm like the kind of person who's like, sure, I'll do it, right? So never knew about it. And then it was like 10 years ago, I was shooting a movie in Canada and I was injured. I was partially paralyzed. So that was pretty life-changing.
Yeah.
And the unions both were really helpful during that time. I was in a lawsuit and I was through a lot of medical care and stuff. And it was around that time and just a little bit before that people had asked me to, if I'd come sit on the board. And now I'd known that there was some kind of governance just before that because I was a part of the attempt to merge the last time.
The first time.
It wasn't the first time.
Not the first time.
Right, but
the time before this one, yes.
Right? And it blew my mind, the idea that, I had two different unions covering what I considered, I want my work to be whatever it is. Like I had a talk show, so that was AFTRA. Then I had a TV series, that was SAG. And then I had animation, that was SAG. But then I had radio commercials, and that was AFTRA. And I was like, I do not want to have two unions. I don't want my unions to define my work. I want to define my work, and I want to have one place that covers me. That was it. I just did not understand the split that they had.
And for so many reasons, because one of the ones that just came to mind, and I know that's been a recent change, is the merging of the health and pension.
Yeah.
Like in that situation, there's
not the pension, the merging of the health.
Right, pension's
being
coming.
Worked on.
Right. But I'm listening to you talk about where these jobs are coming from, and there's a ton of different reasons why it made sense for that merge to happen. But just in terms of us feeling like we're not like you could work a ton. Any actor could work a ton in both places and never meet their health minimums.
Is that unbelievable?
Yeah. So there's a ton of reasons, but I'm thinking about all the different. So So you were already sort of looking around going, okay, this is really frustrating and
Right,
weird
really
and,
frustrated. And I was shocked. So when people said they didn't want it, I was like, what do you mean you don't want it? I was like, I honest to God, it was the first time that I understood that I thought we were all on the same page. We all want to work, right? We want to have strong contracts, and we don't want to be defined. I mean, that was for me. It wasn't me. I didn't want to be defined. And then when I started hearing people saying, I am an actor, that's all, that's what I do. And I was like, oh, I'm an actor, but I am a talk show. I've done talk show, like I said, all these different things. And and I do animation and I do, interactive, all those things.
Yeah.
I was like, I think, but that we're more than that. And now you guys, young people are more than that. I mean, now you guys are all, with the advent of the technology and the way it is, you guys are producers, directors, writers.
Right.
You're in your programs. I mean, it's just exponentially. It makes sense. We want to be everything we can be. We're creative, and we're looking for outlets. So anyway, I had been injured, and I actually had a very difficult time speaking. I had a lot of physical. I was at UCLA, movement disorder for a long time. They were working with my body, and I had a lot of free time. People said, Gabrielle, would you, want to run for the board? And I said, sure. And so I didn't know what that meant, and I ran for the AFTRA board. And then shortly after that, I ran for the SAG board, so I was on both boards. And then I worked with the group that wanted to merge the unions, and then we really worked hard on that. And then during that time, I actually became president of Los Angeles for AFTRA, because I wanted to help create some stability. Yeah. We didn't want factions within our different organizations. We wanted to have a through line and a cohesive voice, and so we did from both sides. And then, we merged the unions. And then I never in my life, I swear to God, if you were to say, so Gabrielle, do you think you'll ever, like I said, I didn't know that they had a governance structure, our union, but then, would you ever be the president? I would have no way.
Me? President.
Honest to God.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, for all of you guys out there, every single person who's listening, who's a member of our union, you have a part to play, potentially, if you want it. And I say, there's no greater power than using your voice and participating and bringing people along. There is no better way for us to really get what we want to have.
Yeah. Well, I did want to talk about involvement, but before we get to that, I just want to mention that you mentioned the injury and how that had you get involved and become, for instance, passionate about safety on set and whatnot. I was thinking on the way over here today, actually, how amazingly well positioned you are as an actor and a person to be in this role. And the reason I say that is because if you look back over your career, you just mentioned it, you do the voiceover thing, you interactive. We're in a strike, right? So you have experience in that area. You have experience of having, unfortunately been injured on a set. So you're passionate about safety. In what is probably your most well-known role, you were 15 years different than the role that you were playing, and we're in this fight with IMDb and their parent company over the age discrimination thing. So it's just,
and I'm a woman of a certain age.
It's I'm just saying, it's amazing to me. I was thinking about this on the way over here. I'm sure you've connected the dots, but I don't know. As somebody who's a fairly new union member, it's encouraging, and I'm glad that there's somebody who has not only been in the trenches, but you are so uniquely positioned because of these past experiences to have to take on the fights that we're fighting right now. It's just, I don't know. Is that something that has occurred to you, or have you connected those dots?
There are moments when I'll say, well, when I work on this, or when I'm talking to broadcasters, it even was a time that I actually was asked to do some broadcasting. I was reporting with other people. Anyway, I've done a lot. I have actually, I think, done everything in our contracts. So the times I've recognized that more, when you're saying it's making me laugh, you can see I'm like a little giddy about it. But and that's just time too, I think, because I don't want to be defined.
Yeah, sure.
Well, you don't want to be defined, you're going to try everything, right?
Yeah.
So I had friends I went to school with who said, I only do this. I'm like, oh no, I'll do anything. You pay me. I'm like, I'm out there, I'll try it. Life is short. But yeah, I think that there are moments that I realize, wow, I have touched on a lot of other things. And I think that, and a lot of the members who I work with, we've been together through the years. I'm in the audition rooms or I'm on the sets with them. I'm surprised right now when I've been doing so much traveling this last year, and I'm like, oh my God, I know you. I know, like, our business is so, when we do our work, it's so transient, isn't it? We work on a job and we feel like we're family.
Yeah.
And we just love each other to death, and then we leave and we're sad, but then we go to another job and then suddenly that's our family. And so the years pass, and then you bump into each other, and in this position as president, I bump into people more frequently because I'm on so many different sets at one time, or I'm in so many different locals at one time, and I cannot tell you across the country how many people I've worked with or known, so that, it's really, I think I just went off track with it, but it's really an interesting thing to feel that, I guess it's time. Part of it's time. If you've been around long enough and you're willing to try everything, you're gonna have worked everything.
Yeah. Like I said, it's something that I'm when I think about it, I'm grateful, to have somebody with those varying experiences taking on the exact. I mean, it's not just that you've had those experiences; it's that those are the exact fights that we're fighting right now. It's kind of amazing how well.
I hadn't thought about all that, but that's interesting.
Yeah,
it is interesting.
So, back to involvement. So, I got to attend this meeting a couple of weeks ago, which was really interesting. First time, I probably became a member in October.
Congratulations.
I mean, very soon. Thank you.
And then getting to a meeting so soon after that speaks volumes to you. Swear to God, because some people like me who join and for years after never connected. Right. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm grateful too. I have a very close friend in Ben Whitehair who is just awesome. That's just where that's the world he comes from. He right. studied leadership and politics and stuff in college, in addition to acting and the arts. So. It's very similar. He's got that sort of marriage of the governance side with the artistic side. So, got to this meeting. Very interesting. It's fascinating just listening to everyone talk and hearing people put words on this is what the governance does. This is how our union works and moves forward and fights for our members and stuff. In addition to maybe becoming a delegate, which I have talked about on the show because of that meeting.
Become a delegate.
What are some of the other ways that people can feel like they can get involved and be a bigger part of their union?
All right, so some people don't even know. And I believe everything is about giving back. I think paying forward is really important. But if you're a member, a lot of members don't even realize what they have that's available to them. So, classes are expensive, or programs. We have through the foundation, if you're a member, you have to sign up separately for the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. But if you do that, they have tons of panels and, different educationals. And then if you're also as a member, you can go and take classes. I've done improv classes here. They bring in professionals and casting people and so do the workshops because you want to connect. That's a way to start feeling like you're getting your buck, also bang for your buck. And then also, but the way I think that you can what I know that you can do to get involved is come to meetings when friends tell you about things, but you could also, you can come to a board meeting. We have in LA, they have open board meetings. You can come and sit and listen to a board meeting if you ever want to do that. You can join a committee, or MOVE, which is members, who organize. It's part of our organizing where there's certain events, whatever. You can sign up to be a part of MOVE and hear about things and join in. We have a lot of social media stuff. Look, Ben, he's such a big social media person.
Yeah.
And you should be involved. Look at our emails. I know, now we have the app. I hope everybody signed up for the app.
Yes, download the app.
Download that app. And if you do the SAG-AFTRA app, you'll see events in your area. I don't know where you guys are, if this is all over the country, but here, what you can do is go on your app and you can see any events that are going on. Join in, Just become a part of it. And I think that that's really, we are coming to election season. And, when people don't know and they're saying, well, I don't know that much and I don't know if I really want to get involved. If you come as a delegate for convention, if you're chosen, you'll put your name in. You'll see on the app, there'll be an email that'll come out, tell you how to do it. It's not hard if you get the votes. It's 500 members from around the country. It's the largest group of members around the country who come together once every 2 years. And we do, we actually plan the next couple of years of the union. Yeah. And it's riveting. I mean, I know it sounds like it's not. I'm not a political animal. The people are fabulous. What you learn about what's going on. Our country, we're in a whole different political scenario with a different administration, not pro-union. The things that we're going to be dealing with and hearing and the people who come to speak, riveting. And it's a couple of days. So you sign up to be a delegate. If you're elected to be a delegate, then you'll come to convention. You'll actually vote. Who's going to be the next executive vice president? You're going to meet them. Who's going to become the next national vice president for actor performer, or national vice president for Los Angeles, for New York, all this stuff. You'll have an ability to put your voice in. Motions will come forward that you'll feel like, God, that really is important. I never knew about that. I think that's a really great thing. And then, ultimately you'll you'll be a part of the local you'll run, and then we'll get you part of the national, and then you'll be the next president of SAG-AFTRA.
For instance. It's possible.
It's possible. Who would have thunk,
Yeah. You mentioned people, actors or members coming from all over to that convention, and earlier you were talking about, the events that are specifically happening in LA. The podcast, by the way, we have people, there's a guy living in a research station in Antarctica who's making some money to save up to come back to one of the major markets. Okay. So
you need to I don't know your name, you who lives in Antarctica right now, but what I would say is make sure that you sign up with the SAG-AFTRA on the website for SAG-AFTRA Foundation, because we actually have webinars. That are really training webinars, or they're also like panels with great artists who are speaking about their work, or directors or casting people. And then you should also, again, use your app that I know you've downloaded now, and you can see we do webinars actually on governance. We just did a whole right to work. I call it right to freeload, but right to work, those states where, they want to kind of crush unionism. For us, we actually had this incredible seminar led by one of our members who lives in a right-to-work state, and just explain what that means. Yeah. And we potentially have a country, if it, there's a lot of legislation to make it right to work as a country, and what does that mean, And so it's very interesting, and so there's something from Antarctica all the way to, I want to say Juneau, Alaska, but that's too close. Anyway, in bum dum dum dum, whatever it is, there's something that's going on. But you can look in your local, if you're one of our locals, you can look, and you probably have some kind of conservatory going on there, where they some of the locals, they have facilities within their offices, if there's brick and mortar, where you can self-tape.
Yeah.
Or you can even start a program there. Look at how you get involved locally.
Yeah.
But
We talked a lot about I think you just answered my question before I asked it, actually, because my question was going to be about outreach to either a major market like New York, because your offices are here, or some of the minor markets, because so much film and television is shot sort of all over the place these days. I am also a member of Actors Equity, and there was a lot of hoopla around the whole 99-seat theater thing. And we've, in LA, felt very disenfranchised with the New York office sort of coming down on high to mandate certain things here in LA. And we were like, what's going on? We don't feel very involved. So I was wondering, with the offices here, how SAG-AFTRA reaches out to, there's a ton of, the amount of production that's increasing year over year in New York is huge, exponential. You've got that market growing really rapidly. And then, of course, all these minor markets like Portland and New Orleans and Atlanta.
First of all, I don't think anybody wants you to call them a minor market. I think that there are probably people who say, don't call me minor. And I would actually support that, because I think what you're really seeing is now, particularly because the industry is changing so rapidly, you can almost follow the tax incentive. right?
Yeah.
New York is doing really. It had this it has a great tax incentive right now.
Yeah.
Right now, Atlanta has a great tax incentive, but they're our third largest. They're doing really well. LA's building on their tax incentives. We have tax incentives. A lot of the new infrastructure that you're seeing built around the country is based on the tax incentives that have been created. So those places that used to be minor markets now could become major markets. And it's an interesting time. When I first started in the business so many years ago, there were really only two markets. It was New York and LA. LA is the national, and New York is also a national office, but LA is the national headquarters. And but it used to be just those two places. Rarely were you really working outside, except if they were looking for location shots or whatever. And now we have production everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So I wouldn't define anything as a minor market anymore. Everything's evolving and changing. And so, but it's great. I mean, there's a lot of production in New York, and we have a lot of production coming back to LA right now. We see a lot of, what's going on in Georgia and, New Orleans and Miami, and there's work going on everywhere right now.
Yeah.